Welcome to Golf Ball Addict, back with another golf ball review today. Hope everyone's day is wonderful as we continue our golf ball journey to try to find the perfect golf ball for the average swing speed. So today's mark is the Callaway Superfast. So I've done a couple Callaway balls so far. I did the Super Soft, and I did the Super Soft Max, which completely had different results. The Super Soft, essentially, I wasn't really that impressed with and really didn't give it my seal of approval just because the numbers were average to mediocre. And the price point at being $25, you know, there's obviously a lot you can do better with, especially like when the cut red's on the market. But, however, the Super Soft Max completely changed that. It used a different cover. The Super Soft has this new paraloid, Dow chemical cover that they're trying to perfect, and I just wasn't impressed by it, to be honest with you. The Super Soft Max didn't have that, and my numbers were phenomenal with the Super Soft Max. Now, one thing that already kind of concerns me is this Callaway Superfast does have that paraloid Dow chemical cover, all that jargon. You can see my Super Soft review for the full kind of analysis I give on that, but honestly, not impressive. It's a bunch of random big words and marketing jargon that basically just tries to tell you it's a crazy cover. It's the first time I've ever seen them do it, and to be honest with you, I haven't had a lot of luck so far, so I am a little concerned with that. Now, in the past, I have had really good success with Callaway Superfast golf balls. I've used them on the course, and they really just seem to come out super hot. They actually used to be called super hot, and when they were, man, I would just, even chips around the green, barely hit it, and it would just shoot off the club. Bouncy ball effect to the max. So I always did kind of like them just because they came so hot off the club. So hopefully that continues here. So let's go ahead and get into the design of the golf ball real quick. As you can see, Callaway's logo is great. I love it. I've touched on it in the last couple of videos. Old English is awesome. And then on the side there, again, they've done this with all their golf balls. They have an excellent alignment feature that you can clearly see. Even from back here, you can clearly see it. It's nice and thick. And it just says Super Fast in the middle of it. Kind of a rebranding. As I said, they used to be called Super Hot. Now they're Super Fast. So either way, again, it looks like a, now on this one, again, the cover is very thick. I'm not a fan of that, especially on the Super Soft regular. I wasn't a fan of that coating, so hopefully this one is a little different, maybe because the golf ball is maybe suited for a little bit faster swingers, more your moderate swingers. Maybe it will be a little different, but we'll find out on those numbers. But overall, a good design of the golf ball. Let's get out to the chipping and putting green, and let's see how we do out there. All right, so Callaway has definitely done a wonderful job at rectifying that issue as far as being too hot. It definitely does not come nearly as fast off the wedge, which is good. I was able to control the speed a lot better, and I was pleasantly surprised with how much spin it had. It actually did check up a couple of times really well. It's got to be a perfect hit. If it's not, unfortunately, it is going to roll like most cheaper golf balls would. But if you actually get a good strike in there, it does have a decent amount of checkup, which I didn't actually expect, especially since this isn't even a urethane coating. It's Callaway's special blend that they keep coming out with that I'm not a big fan of. But overall, really good performance around there. It felt, I would say, soft on the most part, kind of an in-between. Not quite the Callaway Chrome Soft right in the middle, but this one kind of just a soft feel overall. It does have a very light click and a firm press, just to let you know feedback. It's honestly really good. I like what Callaway's done as far as their feel around the green. So far, the Super Soft is the only one I've kind of had issues with. But this is another check mark. I would say this is a success. I've enjoyed it. Okay, so now I've been kind of putting around a little bit with this Callaway Superfast here, and it's very fast off the putter. Boing is the name of the game because, boy, you just barely have to touch it and it springs off really hard. It does take some getting used to. It's not necessarily a bad thing to have that type of spring because if you're a newer golfer, basically you can kind of just barely, come back. You don't have to bring your putter back as far, which is going to control your accuracy a little bit more, but it is going to take a learning curve because it's definitely not normal. If you've been putting with a Pro V1 or a firmer golf ball and you're used to having to put a lot more on it, you're going to be really surprised when you put a Superfast down and you just blow on it and all of a sudden it's across the green. It's going to take a learning curve. You're going to have to practice with it a little bit. But overall, the feel was still really good. It's very soft, and boy, it just so much spring off the club. Might even be a little too much for me, to be honest with you, but like I said, if you get used to it, it shouldn't be an issue. But overall, a really good feel. It reminds me of the general feel of these Callaway balls seems to be that your super soft max, all of them have this goal of being really, really soft, buttery, and bouncy off the putter, and they all do that really well for the most part. This one definitely is the bounciest though. So if you're keeping track of my Callaway reviews, just kind of pay attention there. I might make a video kind of telling you the feel of all of them. But overall, still a really good feeling golf ball. I didn't have any issues with roll, and it's a really great value. So overall, I couldn't have really asked for much more. Even the wedge surprised me a little bit, so I'm really impressed. So the golf ball does feel a little bit more firmer than I would say the Super Soft and the Super Soft Max did for sure, but it's still a very soft golf ball. It comes off a little dead, but not super dead like the Super Soft did. So, I mean, it's still a good feeling golf ball, not great by any means, but it does spring off the club pretty good. I don't think it springs off the club as well as the Super Hot did, but again, you've got a new cover there, and that new cover I think really deadens it, unfortunately. So let's get into these numbers. Let's see how they are. Let's start off with the 9-iron, of course. 9-iron, we've got 91.9 on your ball mile per hour speed, which is right in line with average. 126.4, 120, all those numbers are average basically, and then it has a, oh wow, 26.6, so that's interesting. This is a very, very high ball flight. So I actually only got a mid-ball flight with the other two models, the Super Soft and the Max. This one goes very, very high above my average, about a 4-degree difference. So you're going to get a lot of height on it for sure. But the distance numbers actually were pretty much the same. They're right there in average, which is good. So no quarters there. Let's see how it does going into the 7-iron now. So 6,942 spin. I mean, almost 7,000 spin, to be honest with you. That ball's going to come back at you a little bit for sure. I mean, it's going to stop on a dime and come back a few feet. That's a lot of spin for the 7, and it could be just because of that extra height you're getting. So I think you're definitely not going to have any trouble sticking a green with it for sure. 109.6 on that ball mile per hour speed. Very good number there. 161.8 above average, 151.3 above average. And a 19.6, so that's another high launch angle. So what I'm noticing already is when you compare it to the Super Soft Max, the distance numbers and the ball mile per hour numbers are pretty close. I mean, they're pretty much the same, but this golf ball is launching a lot higher. So I'm getting a little bit more air with it, which when you're a slow or moderate swinger, a little bit of extra air isn't going to hurt you. It's actually probably going to help you a little bit. It's only when you start swinging really, really fast, you want it more low and penetrating. So honestly, that's not a bad thing. So again, we're off to a great start here. I like these numbers. Getting into the hybrid now, so 4,225. So now we lost a little bit of spin. The Super Soft Max spun a lot more than that, but it did spin more than the regular Super Soft did, so kind of in the middle there. 121.1 on the ball mile per hour speed. Hot diggity daffodil. That is fast. I mean, that is super fast. That is super fast, seriously. Like, I mean, the ball ain't lying there because that's the highest I've ever tested, period, with my hybrid. I have a 5 hybrid. It's a 23 degree. I think my previous high was 119.6. So 121.1 is incredible. That's awesome. 199.8 on the total distance. That's insanely far. I would actually have to slow my hybrid swing down with this golf ball if I was on the course because I would be getting too much distance with it. That'd be a serious gapping issue. 186.9 on the carry. That's an incredible number. I mean, that's a whole 10 more yards than my average. And a 16.2 launch. That's a little lower than the soft, but it's definitely higher than the Super Soft. I'm sorry, the Max, and then the Super Soft. It was definitely higher than the Super Soft. A nice tall ball flight. It's still going to stick. Gosh, those are great numbers. Those are really fantastic numbers. This golf ball was compressing really well off the hybrid, and it felt really good. Effortless power. I love that. Hopefully the driver can continue because remember, the Max actually was the best distance-wise I had tested with my Mizuno driver up to date. So it was honestly, it's in first place when it comes to total distance. It was over 250. So let's see how this one did. We're starting out, we have 2,833 on your spin, which, is right in line with what I got with the Max. That's an average. 244.4. So I did lose about 6 yards compared to the Max. However, the ball speed at 136.6 was only a mile an hour lower. Carry yards, again, 6 yards, 224.3, and that's kind of probably the difference there. It launched a little lower at 14.5. So interesting. So even though the numbers weren't that different, it was only a 1.5 degree launch of different, but I did lose 6 yards, and it makes me wonder if it isn't that cover, just because the other one didn't have it. and it came off 6 yards further, and so that makes me kind of wonder why there would be a difference there. Now, granted, with a lower launch, sometimes that will affect it, but only 1.5 degrees shouldn't affect it that much, especially if the ball speeds were similar. So maybe the cover has a little bit to do with it. Maybe it's a 2 or 3 yard thing with the cover, but overall the numbers still weren't bad. Those numbers are all right in line with being better. I mean, those are better than average. So those are still good numbers. They're actually great numbers. So I don't have any quarrels there. It's just that compared to the Super Soft Max, I really just thought it would be a little bit different. Okay, so before I give my final thoughts based on all these numbers, let's touch on durability real quick. Now with the Super Soft, the regular one, I had terrible durability issues because of this cover. This one right here, actually, again, it's kind of in the middle. It's not as good as the Super Soft Max, but it is better than the Super Soft. As you can see, it's pretty beat up. There's a lot of scrapes there. I actually washed this golf ball, so it's, I mean, you can tell the Golf Dot on top is all torn off. The Superfast on the side made it good, but the logo on the front's pretty beat up. Honestly, and even feeling it, it does feel a little not completely circular. I mean, there's some dents in it, there's some scratches. So it's not bad. It's like a 3 out of 5, you know, somewhere in there average. It probably, once you're done with 18, it's probably time to throw it away if you make it through that far. So my final thoughts, you know, as far as that goes, honestly, it's still a really great golf ball. I'm still not completely convinced by this new cover system. I think there's a lot of work to do on it. I think it's negatively affecting the golf ball right now. But the Super Hot and Super Fast line has always been really good to me. And honestly, this golf ball still is really good. So who's the golf ball for then? Well, honestly, this golf ball comes at a $29.99 price point, but that is for 15 golf balls instead of your regular 12. So honestly, the price point is pretty, you know, competitive, I would say. And honestly, it's probably the same, you know, per golf ball as basically the Super Soft Max and the Super Soft. This one's probably just for a little bit faster swingers. And with it being still a proprietary iometer blend cover, whatever it is, it definitely is on the cheaper side of that. So really, this is going to come down to a couple things. If you're probably a 95 mile an hour or lower, I would stick to the Super Soft Max just because the numbers were fantastic with it. And I think it's really going to help your game. You're not going to get as much spin. This one does have a little bit more side spin. So if you're swinging 95 to 100, I would say maybe this is the one you want to give a try first, just because you might end up compressing the Super Soft Max a little more than you want to. So it is a tight window. It's not a great big window of golfers. You know, I could see maybe even like a 105 guy swinging this too, but at that point, if you're that fast and you're that good, maybe the Chrome Soft or Chrome Soft X will be better for you. I haven't tested them yet, so I don't know. So it is kind of a limited market. It's a little bit of a disappointment, but the numbers were still good. If you're a fan of the Super Fast and Super Hot line and you want to try the new model and you're wondering if it's any good, it is. I mean, it honestly performs really well. Everything was above average, and I don't have really any major issues with it. It just wasn't as good as the Max that I just tested for some reason. So overall, not a bad design. Not a bad golf ball. You can give it a try. Overall, guys, I appreciate you being here. Keep watching to keep saving, keep learning as we continue this journey. And we've got another golf ball coming soon. Thanks again.